Interceptors are used to address your cross-cutting concerns. These are the concerns which are not directly related to your programming logic or not related to your business logic but are nonetheless required. Or for example, maybe we have some methods and we want to perform some security checks like who is going to call this method and who can't call this method. Or maybe we just want to check the performance of a method. So how much time that method takes to execute. These all things are related to interceptors. So all this logging, monitoring, auditing, performance monitoring, and performing security checks are all the domain of interceptors. So when the client invokes the target bean, the bean can be any of the bean types we have discussed. It has to go first to the interceptor. So whether you're performing some security checks like who is going to access the bean and who is allowed to access the bean, or maybe how much time this is required for executing any method, such cross-cutting concerns are going to be coded over here in the interceptors. Now let's create an example of an interceptor. So first of all, let's create a bean which we are going to intercept. So the name is simple bean. Okay, let it be stateless, let it not have any interface. Finish. Now let's create a method which is going to be intercepted by the interceptor. So let's write public void some method and let's say something. I am invoked. Okay, so let's create the interceptor class now. New Java class, my simple interceptor. Okay, and so as you can see, interceptor is a plain Java class. It's a pocho. So over here, let's create a method which returns object interceptor method. Okay, you can use any name for the method, and this method is going to intercept a bean method. So this method is going to run in between the bean method. Okay, so you have to annotate it with around invoke. Okay, and let's see what we can do with this method. So your interceptor method also takes an argument of invocation context. Okay, and let's this method throw an exception. Okay, and then let's print out something. So method, then name of the method which is going to be intercepted we can get from this object invocation context dot get method dot get name invoked. Okay, and after this let's try a try finally block, and let's return in context dot proceed. Okay, and let's copy this statement over here. Okay, and let's change this text exited. Now we want to apply this interceptor to our bean. So for that we use the interceptors annotation, interceptors, and then you specify the name of the interceptor which is my simple interceptor dot class. So basically this interceptor will intercept all the methods of this bean. If you want this interceptor to intercept a particular method only, then you can cut this and paste it over here. So this interceptor now applies only to this method, not other methods of this bean. So let's save this. Now from my tester class we'll invoke this method, and because this method is an interceptor, this will run. First this will run, then the control will go to the method, and then this will run. Let's see. Let's use a simple bean. Okay, and then let's call the method new bean dot some method. So I am calling this method, which is going to get intercepted by this interceptor. Okay, let's save and run this application. And here's the output. As you can see, the method is intercepted. Now let's change this method, our interceptor method, a little bit. So method entered and at, let's get the current time in milliseconds, calendar dot get instance dot get time in millis. Okay, and let's paste this over here. Okay, exited at, and let's now run the application. So here you see a 1 millisecond difference because this method ran very quickly. Now there is a simplified form of interceptor in which you don't have to create a separate class. You can simply copy this method and put it in your bean, and then you don't even need to mention this. So this interceptor is going to intercept all the methods of this bean. But this really isn't a good technique. Your cross-cutting concerns should be in a separate class. Your business logic class shouldn't be polluted with cross-cutting concerns. So let's delete this method as of now, and let's uncomment this out. So as I mentioned, that we can have an interceptor at the method level, or you can have an interceptor at the class level. If it's applied at the class level, it applies to all the methods in this bean. If it's applied at the method level, this interceptor only applies to this method. So there is another interceptor called default interceptor, which has to be specified in your application jar file. So let's create the jar file first. Let's go to other, let's create standard deployment descriptor, which is the ejbjar.xml file. Okay. Now I'll just copy paste some code over here. So this says that for all the EJBs or all the beans in this package, this will be the interceptor. So let's say we have this default interceptor which will intercept all the beans, all the methods in all the beans or in your package, and in your bean, let's say we have a method level interceptor, and let's say we also have a class level interceptor like this. Interceptors. So I'll just make up some random name, my class interceptor dot class. Now we have 3 interceptors for this method. We have the default interceptor which also applies to this method, we have the class level interceptor which also applies to this method, and we have the method level interceptor. Now the question is, what is the ordering for these interceptors? So the ordering is, all the times default interceptor will be the first one to execute. After that, class level interceptors are executed, and after that your method level interceptors are executed. And you can also have an interceptor method directly in your class, as we have seen before. So the ordering is the default interceptor followed by your class level interceptor, followed by your method level interceptor, followed by any interceptor method in your class. So basically this is not a proper way to do it, as I told you before, because your cross-cutting concern shouldn't be polluting your business logic class. So here's the ordering of the interceptors. First the default interceptor runs, then the class level, then the method level, then the in-class interceptor, which is not a good thing as we have seen before, and then the reverse way around.